child trafficking. I just thought of that title today. Like, okay, a lot of times people say let's eliminate it, but you can't eliminate it without first exposing it. Because Robert,
Right.
most people don't know what's going on. Again, I'm joined by Robert Mailer, former senior vice president of Pepsi Cola for 10 years, and his significant other, awesome girlfriend, she happened to have an opportunity to meet the founder of Veterans for Child Rescue, and she got involved in several different companies that are involved with child trafficking. She brought the idea to Robert. Robert talked to me, and we are like, "Look, we got a lot going on, but how do you just turn your head away from something like that, Robert? I mean, what you think
Yeah.
about that?"
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before that, kids, they're the most innocent players on the face of the earth, and they really can't help themselves, and they're, so impressionable, and and they're little, they're small, and they're not equipped. So, we've got these bad actors out there, really, really heinous people that have created a $250 billion industry in child trafficking. Okay, $250 billion. To put that into perspective, PepsiCo, which is just Pepsi Cola and Frito Lay, is about 10 billion. Okay, no, I'm sorry, it's about 20 billion. It's about 20 billion. So it's over 10 times bigger than that. Then if you add Yum Brands, which is the Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, KFC, all the restaurant sides, then you're talking about 60 billion. But it's 4 times the size of that. So it is an incredibly, unfortunately, profitable thing. That's why more and more people are doing it. Then,
Right.
of course, you got the really bad actors who are actually the ones involved SEXing with these children and paying money for it, which is what makes it $250 billion industry. So, as Jay, you said, it needs to be exposed. People aren't aware of it. Ignorance is one thing. Ignorance is kind of fine. That just means you don't know. But
Right.
if you know and you stick your head in the sand, or if you know and you just choose to look the other way and not do anything about it, I mean, when these kids, these kids are being messed up. I mean, it's and think about the parents. Parents are losing their kids. I
Yep.
mean, it's some of the worst stuff that you can possibly think of. So our job is we want to expose it, and then we want to help be able to fund these missions. You get a chance to hear from Craig Sawyer in a bit, who's a phenomenal individual, former Navy SEAL. I mean, quote unquote, just a badass. And he is a guy you want on your side, and he's going and doing some of this hardest work of going and snaring these bad actors or
Right.
rescuing the children.
Again, fam, what we want to do is we want to create exposure. So Robert and I made a commitment over this next year, especially, just to be consistent and bringing out a message every week, at least every other week. We're going to be here, just continuing to be consistent and exposing. And then after we're doing these videos, we're sharing it with different friends and family members, and now we're noticing people going, "Man, I had no idea." And so I'm going to get into some statistics here. We're going to keep this short to the point, but we want you, especially because most of the people watch this on the replay. Like we have a lot of people watching on the replay.
Yep,
All right, so we're live streaming
thousands.
now, but the replay. Shout out to all of you, and be sure you drop a comment and talk about how you care. And if you decided to go over to jforkids.com and make a contribution that goes over to the Veterans for Child Rescue. So listen, Robert, I got a few points here. I want to bring statistics. One, over 1,500 child victims at risk of re-trafficking
Oh,
in the UK. So re-trafficking means already happened.
they go get them again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Between January 2023 and July 2024, talking about a year and a half, 1,541 children were referred more than once to the UK's national referral mechanism,
mm.
showing a growing failure to protect rescued victims from being re-exploited. What do you think about that, Robert?
Just turns my stomach. I mean, it turns my stomach to think that they're freed, they're brought back to their family, and then it happens again. I mean
Re-exploited.
that's why this needs to be exposed. And the one thing everybody can do that's hearing this now or hearing it on the replay, share it out. You're going to find this on my LinkedIn, my Facebook, Jay's Facebook. Share it out to as many people as you can, because we need to put a spotlight on this. We need more people. It's a little from a lot. It's just not the donations. It's the more people that find out, the more people are going to be able to donate. But the
And, then,
fact
and,
that
we can,
you've
and
got
we can
kids
stop
being
some of the
retreaded.
re-exploitation by because that makes we got to get the parents and the guardians more aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get the
I mean,
guardians and the
that's
parents
just
more aware.
that's unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah,
you figure somebody gets rescued and gets out of it once that, now you just have to help them to recover. But now not only you're helping them recover, then you lose them again. I
getting
mean, think about what it's
re-exploited,
doing to
man.
families. Think about what it's doing to the child, but think about what it's doing to families. I mean, it's just tearing people apart. And this has got to be stopped.
Yes, that's why, hey, jforkids.com is huge in making an impact. Hey, did you know that 320,000 migrant children are unaccounted for in the US right now? As of mid 2024, US federal agencies lost track of over 320,000 unaccompanied migrant children, many of whom were placed in with poorly vetted sponsors, leaving them exposed to
Huh.
trafficking, forced labor, and abuse.
That's a third of a million children. That's a third of a million. I mean, that's just, that does show that there's some irresponsibility going on from adults
Yeah,
and from agencies, which again is another reason we've got to expose this and do something about it. Because
got to do
people
something
just
about
aren't,
it.
they're not aware. They're not aware enough.
All right, now this is a big one. We got to pay attention to this because you know um, encrypted messaging is on the rise. So the encrypted messaging apps is on the rise.
Yep.
Children are now being sold via encrypted message apps in Southeast Asia. Criminal networks across Southeast Asia are using encrypted platforms like Telegram and WhatsApp to sell children for sexual exploitation and forced labor, often disguised under code words and emojis. There we go with them emojis and those characters,
Unicorns,
avatars,
clowns,
you know.
puppies.
So we got to pay attention. Again, that's an awareness thing we're bringing up. We're getting how the different ways of your kids can they get snatched and get put
Yeah.
into these crazy networks.
And on top of that, also games. People that are gaming online, and there's chats in the gaming. You got to turn those chats off,
Turn them off.
because the bottom line is, then they got that little puppy dog going, "Hey, this is fun. Hey, how are you?"
Right.
And they start creating that relationship. These people are grooming these kids, and they know how they're bad actors, but they're unfortunately really good at what they do. They
Parents,
understand
make
the
sure you heard what
psychology.
Robert said. Robert said if they're on gaming apps, get the app. The chat is turned off. And if you can't turn it off, you tell the kid, if I catch you in the chat one time, you're not playing again, ever.
Yep.
That's a big point, Robert.
Yep.
Hey, Robert, children make up 38% of the global trafficking victims. According to the 2024 UNODC report, children now account for 38% of all identified trafficking victims worldwide, with a sharp rise in cases involving online exploitation. So again, so the online is really about the awareness.
Yep.
Organized crime gangs, organized crime gangs exploiting children for theft in Europe. In parts of Europe, especially Scotland and the UK, children under 12 are being trafficked from Eastern Europe and forced into organized shoplifting rings, exploiting loopholes in the juvenile justice system.
Oh yeah. I mean, it just shows you they will do anything, and they find a crack in the sidewalk and they go right down in it.
Get down,
It's
hey, all this has got to make everybody more aware. And so what we've done is Robert and we've hooked up with Veterans for Child Rescue, and I bought a little link here that directs over to their site and made it simple for you. Go to jforkids.com. You can read more about it on that page, but I'm going to show you a video real quick of let's let you meet Craig Sawyer and his partner, the COO. Let's let you meet them. That way, you get an idea of going, oh, I know who's behind this. And the awareness should just jump through the roof here. So let's get the video dialed up. 1 second here. I want to get this video dialed up. I got it right there. Let me get back on. Let me share window. Bam. Can you see the video, Rob?
Yep, I can see it.
All right, everybody listen up. I just want to introduce you to Craig Sawyer and his COO and partner, Forrest Seeley. I'm sure you're going to be intrigued. We'll let this run for a few minutes. particular subject really hits home because it deals with the children. You know, the children are our future, and if we don't protect our children, we don't have a future. So I'm just blown away by what these two gentlemen have done. We've got with us today Craig Sawyer and Forrest Seeley. They are heading up an incredible organization called Veterans for Child Rescue. Gentlemen, let's talk about it. Let's just get into it off the gate. Why are you doing what you're doing, and what needs to be done? Over to you.
Yeah, love. That's why we're doing it. When I'd spent my career in the highest level of counterterrorism and national defense, been to 60 countries around the world, Jay, only to find out that predators are harming children here to a worse degree than anything that I was told I was defending against elsewhere. And I'm like, why am I defending against a might-be enemy who could come here one day when it's already running here at industrial scale? We're all being lied to about it. So a friend of mine from the CIA told me that the area we'd grown up just north of Houston had become a very high traffic area, the hottest epicenter of child sex trafficking in the continental United States. And agencies there that were smoking cigars with us that night were letting us know that, yeah, this is it's a spiritual crime. Ultimately, there's the reasoning. The sick people that do it, there's a reason that it's very spiritual for them. It's satanic, and that it's run at industrial scale in the United States. And I got really upset, Jay. I don't know how to explain it other than it felt like an assault on me and everything that I loved, everybody that I loved. I couldn't reconcile how that was happening at the same time in that area that I knew so many good people.
Now, Craig, when you say on an industrial scale, just like, what does that mean to the general population? What do you mean?
Yes, sir. Well, if you've ever been to a pro sporting event, you see there's big money. The estimates now are it's generating more revenue. Selling children in the continental United States is generating more annual revenue criminally than all pro sports combined. Whoa. That's the level we're talking about. Whoa. So it used to be that narcotics was the highest revenue for crime in the United States. And then they said, well, then next is child trafficking. They don't know now whether or not child trafficking is the highest or narcotics. But I suspect that child trafficking now, because you have government agencies conducting the child trafficking, I suspect that it has greatly exceeded the narcotics. I can't prove that in the court of law, and it's just bad enough to know that it's at that level. So whatever it is, it needs to be confronted and corrected. It needs to be eradicated because the children are innocent, they're precious, they're worthy of everybody's protection, and this is not anything that is acceptable in our culture. And we have to find the moral courage, Jay, to all stand up, lock arms together, and say no more. No, whatever you have done this for, whatever's going on with it, we have to drive this from our culture.
Right.
And as the followers of Jesus,
I want to make sure everybody understands. We're talking about child sex trafficking and abuse. Is that pretty much hitting it on the head?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Now, there are other elements to it, but it's all a war on children. It's a spiritual war on children. Okay. And here's something that I've started sharing recently too. There is a video around the internet of a female egg when in the womb, when that male sperm, and they're saying now that the female egg actually tends to choose which sperm she allows in, the right one. Okay. But when that happens, when that male joins with that female egg and that new life begins, there is a flash of light. Wow. Wow. It's beautiful. When that new life, that's a new human. And my understanding in prayer is that at that instant, that is the highest ranking soul on this planet, not highest in political rank or legal horsepower, but the purest soul in the kingdom. He had just breathed that soul into that egg. And at that moment, until the next one happens, that is the purest, most likely, this planet.
Because we're talking about complete innocence.
Yes,
in
sir.
Purest
Yes,
form
sir.
at that point.
Straight from the
Indeed.
Creator himself.
Right.
Hasn't had time yet to be corrupted or perverted or brought down by this fallen earth and everything here attacking us. So we are born on a battlefield.
Right.
We are under attack from the moment. And if possible, the wicked will harm the children even in the womb.
Wow.
And so
you got on a
Yes,
path
sir.
to go after this.
Yes.
And who's this gentleman you got with you up here? This good looking man up here with
This is my brother Forrest Seeley. He's my executive director. I trust him with all that I have and all that I do. We were boyhood friends. We grew up in the same church. My daddy's church, Pastor David F. Sawyer. His parents and mine were good friends. We grew up playing and praying together, and it ended up he went into the banking realm. And so I needed an executive director, and I thought, you know what? Who better than someone that I completely trust?
Wow.
In this crazy day and age than Forrest. And so
because you talk about when money comes in, we got to be great stewards of the money. So Forrest, what's your take on what you've heard your incredible colleague Craig talk about here? What's your take?
It's interesting. It's subject matter, and I'm grateful that you're talking about this, Jay. It's a subject matter that I just went to my 40th high school reunion, and everybody asked me what I was doing. Some people had a little bit of an idea, but when you start talking about this subject, all of a sudden they start retracting. They don't want to know the details. Okay, and I don't get into. I mean, there are details I could get into that'll make you fall on your knees. But I don't get into the details. But just talking about the fringe edge of what's happening is disheartening. And so when he called me up and he originally asked me to be on his board, he was very serious about it. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And he said, take a few days. And no, I'm in. We got to do that.
How long ago was this for us?
Probably like around 2017, 18 time frame. Because he said you were in 2017. So early on. And I remember sitting on my front porch talking to him on the phone. And what I've grown to learn is my whole life, and Jay, you probably have felt the same way. You start out as an adult, you get maybe to adulthood, and you watch the news, and you see something bad happen, and you say to yourself, they're going to fix that.
Yeah.
They're going to fix
Always
that.
They.
And one day, I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm like, well, they is right there in the mirror.
Fact.
And that's what I think I've been called to do, and that's what Craig and I, we feel like we are the they. It's kind of an odd thing to say. And people like yourself are part of that group that needs to step up and spread the word, help educate people, and fight against change culture. We have got to change our culture. We got to raise young men to be young men and to treat people with respect. Right. We are young ladies, the same exact thing on all planes. And we have to do this together.
Man, you know what? These are some power words. We're talking about veterans, child rescue. I wanted to share that, Rob, just that little piece right there. What's your take on that introduction there, Rob?
It's soulful. When you listen to them, they feel a calling. They feel a calling, and they feel that they're on a mission. And I love the fact that they'll take care of it. We are they. So they're taking full responsibility. And as Craig says, think about what he's seen. By being in the defense business that he was, and in 60 countries. I mean, I can't even imagine the things he's seen. And there he is telling us that this is more heinous than the things that he saw. So that, I mean, and then Forrest saying that people kind of back off when he starts talking about it, because it is uncomfortable. But we've got to talk about it. We've got to put a spotlight on it. You got to share this out to everybody. I see Sean saying facts and Chelsea saying no more. I mean, this needs to end, but more people need to be aware of it.
Shout out to Stephen and Chelsea.
We need to get more people aware of what is going on, and then to donate. And the greatest thing is you go to jforkids.com. You can donate once. You can donate in a recurring manner, that happens every month or every day or every week. You set up however you want. You can change it at any time. But the bottom line is, I keep talking about the fact that if we're just able to get 1,000 people giving just $1 a day. And $1 a day is only, $30 a month. That ends up being $30,000, and it only takes 20,000 to run a mission. Okay, the general mission is about 20,000. So that means we could create 18 missions, 18 additional missions a year, based upon just having 1,000 people giving $1 a day. And we can start to change lives, because when we catch just one bad actor, that's probably keeping that bad actor from hurting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 kids.
Yeah,
How many
their
acts?
one is not just one, because they're going to
Mm,
impact a lot, and we
yep,
got to shut them down.
yep,
We got to shut them
absolutely.
down. Shout out to brother Joe Carden, just came in here, said respect, love, and support for this great cause. He's over on our YouTube. We're simulcasting this on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So if you're on Facebook, hey, drop a comment. If you're on YouTube, drop a comment and talk. If you support this, if you think this is a good thing to bring awareness to, drop a comment and really go over to j4kids.com. It's a link that goes straight over to the Veterans for Child Rescue, and they get that money. And then what we're doing is we're working up. We're pitching in on the overall cause missions they're doing. We want to start to target us doing a mission. Let's get our mission going. It's like Chelsea says, shut them down. Let's shut
Yep,
one down ourselves. Let's get a mission to where Craig will give us a report back. Guys, you pay for this
yep,
mission. Here's who all, and he give us all the reports. And sometimes they got thousands of people that are calling an ad. They'll place an ad for like Craigslist or something like that, saying, babysitter here with 13-year-old girl and, looking to have some company. They'll get thousands of people will call.
5,000 in a small Connecticut town.
Yeah,
5,000 responses to that, including people who were governmental, people
yeah.
who were law enforcement. I mean, you would not believe the people responding. So it's a bad thing. And and if you go to jforkids.com, not only can you donate, but the full 30-minute interview that Jay did with Craig and Forrest
Yeah.
that you just saw a clip of, the full video is there. So you can see a whole heck of a lot more about it.
You gotta go. Hey guys, that's the best 29 minutes for awareness you're gonna be
Yep.
able to capture. Because man, I went in on them. I've got a skill set of being able to pull some stuff out of people. When I was pulling out, the more we started talking, the more it was pouring out. So again, guys, we want to be here. Just a quick snap, jumping in here, making it aware. Could you please just consider supporting at jforkids.com? We got people setting up on weeklies already, like Robert said. You can set up for $7.50 a week. That would be your $1 a day. That'd be $30 a month. And let's get 1,000 people doing that. That means we're gonna get 18
Yep.
different missions happening every single year. Everybody, hey, get one, and then the one go get one to help out with this awesome mission. And you know what? It's gonna put great energy on yourself.
Yep.
You talk about putting something out in the universe that the creator of all, he ain't gonna just look over that. He's gonna put great energy out there for you. And that's what we wanted to make sure we do. We're going to take care, protect these kids. We want to expose child trafficking and get it shut down. Any final words, Robert?
Yeah, I just want to add that there's a great movie. Yeah, great movie. It's a disturbing movie, but it really does a great job of showcasing and spotlighting this trouble. And it's called Sound of Freedom. And Craig was involved in it. So Sound of Freedom, you can find it on Amazon, you can find it on YouTube, and you can find it on Apple TV. So you can find it for free. Sound of Freedom. It was actually in the theaters last July 4th. So kind of
And the
interesting.
one they did was called
Independence Day.
Contraland. They actually produced Contraland,
Yep.
involved in the other one and then actually produced Contraland. So if you just take the time and watch those, you're going to make sure you do a double great job of watching for your kids. And you're going to be more engaged in creating this awareness. If we can get 1 million people aware over the next year, just get them aware. And 10% of them say, I got to do something. That's 100,000 people. Now you take 100,000 people doing $1 a day. I got to do something.
Wow. Yep.
We shut a whole bunch of stuff
We
down.
can make a difference.
Shut them down. All right. So Contraland and Sound of Freedom. Chelsea said she's going over and she said, I will contribute as soon as the live is over. We appreciate that. I know the kids appreciate it. Everything you put in there, you got to say, I'm saving some kid's life. I am.
Yep.
Awesome. Shout out to Carl Streval. He said he liked and he shared. He's getting out there. All right. We love all of y'all. We appreciate you. Thank you, Robert, for joining us.
Appreciate it all.
y'all back here next week. Everybody share this out.
Right. Take care.